Welcome back to another Senior Learning Institute's educational moment, where older adults and their loved ones turn for honest and straightforward information. In just a few minutes, you'll enjoy bite-sized, easily digestible nuggets of knowledge, empowering you to make the right decision the first time. So without further ado, here's our founder, certified senior advisor, seniors real estate specialist, nationally syndicated podcaster and speaker, the advocate you can trust, Mr. Ted Gottlieb.
A wise man, or more likely a wise woman, once said, "There is a difference between solitude and isolation." The topic of this Senior Learning Institute educational moment is isolation. We welcome back Sharon Gorman, owner of Certified Care Management. Sharon, you work with folks who are more isolated than most. What say you on the subject?
Well, ironically, before we had forced isolation, we had a lot of conversations going on where it was actually being recognized by the medical community. And there were statements made that isolation and loneliness is so detrimental to health that it's equivalent to smoking 10 cigarettes a day. You know, you suffer from some of the same physical ailments. And so that highlighted that you aren't just being a wimp or, you know, you're an extrovert or introvert or anything like that, but that we're social creatures and we are affected by not interacting with other humans. So there was a lot of good evidence coming our way to begin with. People, you know, then made sure that they were making more social plans. We need socialization and a sense of purpose, and communities were benefiting from the conversation as well to let people know that mom may know her house well, but she doesn't have Tai Chi down the down the hall or someone to eat her meal with. So now, unfortunately, what's happened is little by little they've gotten more and more isolated. First, no visitors. That was the first thing that came down. Then they were eating at different, they were separating the tables in their meal rooms, putting two at a table, making one floor and then another floor. And now the lion's share are serving meals in a styrofoam box in their rooms, and the residents are in their rooms. Maybe they can come out in their own hallway or on their own floor, but that's sort of the extent of it, and it's awful. So
Right. So I understand that aspect of things in senior living communities. Let's focus maybe on the folks that have yet to make that move to senior living, but they're isolating themselves at home. And
mhm.
I read an interesting article on the difference between solitude and isolation and solitude and loneliness, and that was really probably the better comparisons. Maybe just touch on that a little bit about how does solitude differ from loneliness, and then what are some of the things that we can do either as seniors or the children of seniors and older adults to help our loved ones, um, I guess, thrive in an environment where they're somewhat isolated.
I would say the difference between solitude and loneliness is that solitude is a choice and loneliness is not. No one would want to be lonely. You may choose to have periods of time where you're in your own company and you get to make your own decisions, and that's pretty neat. And typically, that's reserved for monks and temporary time periods. You know, everyone enjoys a little time on their own where they can do what they want without anybody, you know, being harmed by it or having to ask permission, but not this extension of time. And, you know, if someone is by themselves, the main thing that happen is that the TV can become their only companion. And the TV is very scary right now. There's a lot of information. It's overload, even for those who can intellectualize it or do something about it. It is very scary. And then there's the fact that we're very poor health historians for ourselves. We may think that we are doing fine. We're sleeping well, or we're eating right, or we're, you know, our blood pressure is not affected. And we just aren't the best to view our own wellness. So it's very easy for someone to get weak or fall and them not realize it was sort of coming, that they had it, it was happening. So other people checking in with us, even if someone doesn't move, they at least should have someone coming to check on them, to um, the Meals on Wheels program, which we're both familiar with and have worked with that programming. We know there are benefits from the daily delivery of warm meals and the hello, hi, are ya? And that might be the only person they see all day. And they might determine if they're on the floor and get them some help. Now they're turning to once a week frozen meals. So someone has to microwave it and they're having less check-ins. So, I mean, the benefits have been studied up and down, and it's just, it's debilitating and scary.
Right. And that's, one of the things that a care manager like yourself offers is those eyes and ears. My folks are in Florida and they're doing just fine as far as I know. But if there was just one of my two parents and I was concerned about mom or dad's health and I didn't have eyes and ears and there wasn't a kind, helpful neighbor,
Mhm.
then, what are my options? So that's really part of what a care manager does. Why don't you elaborate a little bit more about
Sure.
what care management is and how you can help with this
Okay.
self-induced isolation?
Okay. And I'm sure there are more conversations going on now where, mom, if we would have moved you to the community, we're living out of town and we, are not able to come and help you, and your neighbor is scared too. And so they feel really, you know, um, that their hands are tied. And some people may be making the decision. I mean, the community life isn't so awesome right now, but at least there's providers there, and they're following the rules and all that kind of stuff. But the so people may be making that decision after they may determine. I mean, a lot of the reason someone goes into communities because the home is too much to care for. They are isolated. There's stairs they can't maneuver well, or just eating alone, or being able to eat. When we eat alone, we typically grab a bagel standing in the kitchen. When we eat with others, we plate the food. And we enjoy it. So, as a care manager, I guess. Um, Advocating for people, helping them make those decisions. There's really no moment of absolute certainty where you know that to stay in place or to move is the best thing. You just weigh the pros and cons and know that you can change it at any time. People are worried about getting on wait lists right now. That's a lot of what I hear. Like so no one's allowing move-ins for the most part. It's rare. It's when contracts have already been signed. You can go into a rehab if you've been in hospital or into skilled, but into a community of your choice, there's kind of a halt on that. But I think people are preparing and learning the pros and cons a little bit better. So I assist them through that, through maybe finding the best place. I know great realtor who can help them transition smoothly. You and I both know people who can handle a move, because it's a very specific move, knowing what to take, what not to take, how to use your space, and make sure it's smooth and handled with the least amount of stress. Those are some of the things we put in place. For anyone who I have a conversation with and we discuss their options, um, and they aren't ready to move, I usually recommend a caregiver going in. And sometimes that's just, more of a companion. Sometimes it's enlisting an agency, but making sure they're held where they are and they don't fall and lose their option to make the choice. So that check-in can be, instrumental. So just sort of orchestrating things like that. And also what I'm spending a lot of my time doing, if you could see the paperwork on my desk, is long-term care insurance. Long-term care insurance has provisions for these choices. Oftentimes they pay for my services. And so I'm doing a lot of sort of Cliff Notes versions of these so we know what to do when it's time to do it.
Right. I come across a lot of people who want to stay put. The majority of us do, and I understand it, and I encourage it when it makes sense, when someone can stay safe and keep up with their nutrition and all those things. But I find a lot of my folks start to get a little concerned, especially if there's not a couple, if there's one person there. There's a sense of vulnerability and insecurity, and that's why we encourage medical alert systems and other uses of technology and all those type of things. But there's nothing that really can compare to having somebody come in and actually hold their hand and help them with things. And that's one of the reasons that I got into this business, is that I befriended a man who needed help, and there was no one there to help him. And it was my pleasure to do so, and it changed my world more than it changed his, and I thank him for that. So the whole idea of living independently and isolating is not for everybody, and oftentimes it doesn't work to our advantage. So I think there's that that neutral third party, and that's what a care manager is able to do at times. If children are not available or not seeing it, can really help someone improve their quality of life, whether it be them staying put, or whether it means transitioning to.
Right. And there's most communities will allow for a 2-week or month trial stay, to see if, without locking into a contract, to see if it's for them. This is much like choosing a college. You don't often, it's a feeling like you might want to be close to your relatives, but you also have to feel that the community is right for you and the people that you're going to spend time with. So there's a lot of choices, but you can go and visit, you can go, no tours now, but when it opens back up, those are always options to give it a try. And you can always reverse it. I mean, there's some people who just are downsizing. I'm sure you're having that happen a lot with your industry, where they had a big house and 3 kids, and they have too much stuff and too much space. So moving into a more appropriate living space with 1 floor, universal,
Design,
universal what?
Universal design.
Design, yeah. You said the word precautions, but yeah, design.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you, Sharon. And, I would say, Sharon, you get to, I'm going to ask you to give out your contact information, but being a certified care manager and being affiliated with ALCA, the Aging Life Care Association, you're well connected nationwide to other folks that do what you do anywhere in the U.S. So I would say, if anybody has any questions or is looking for support of a care manager, give Sharon a call. And it's funny, when I start to use my wife's name instead of yours, I don't know what.
Yeah, you're not in trouble for that. Now, if you use my name to your wife, you might get in trouble.
There you go. All right. Well, good. So Sharon Gorman, do us a favor, please. Give us your contact information, please, as to how someone can get a hold of you.
Sure. You can, of course, go on my website. All the information's there, and you can contact me through that, which is certifiedcm.com, which stands for care management, or cat mouse. So you can go there, or my phone number is 314-517-5944. I answer it almost 24 hours a day. And you made a good point that the Aging Life Care Association, who is our governing body for the certified care managers, and certified meaning that we directly represent the individual, as opposed to working for a community or working for a home care company. We are your bouncer, we're your advocate. And so the Aging Life Care is also binds us all. There's oftentimes I look for someone in another state for someone. And you can go on there and look for your own. They're also giving us a lot of information to help us work through the COVID-19 and know what to say and how to act.
That's great. And the information that you're able to provide as a care manager, it's money well spent. I have to tell you, the things that you can do in such a short period of time, and the resources that you have, families really need to utilize care managers. It makes all the sense in the world.
You might save money because there's an investment you didn't make that wasn't the right choice, or you didn't know it was paid for by another opportunity. The conversation is always, what do you need and how are you going to pay for it? So.
Right. Absolutely. Well, that's great. Sharon, I appreciate you joining us again. I also want to thank our audience for listening to this Senior Learning Institute educational moment. At the Senior Learning Institute, we're all about providing you the free information and resources that you need, straightforward, unbiased, trying to help you make the right decisions and the smart decisions the first time, as Sharon had mentioned. Our whole goal is to connect older adults and their advocates to the resources they need, from staying put to estate and financial planning, care management, finding the right senior living community, estate sales, junk removal, selling the home for more, no matter its condition, anywhere in the U.S. So thank you very much for joining us. To learn more, please visit us at theseniorlearninginstitute.com. Until next time, I'm Ted Gottlieb, Certified Senior Advisor, Seniors Real Estate Specialist, and founder of the Senior Learning Institute.